welcome.
Hello? Is this thing on?
Matt, did you start the recording?
Yeah, I did.
Cold open, hot open?
Are you sure?
Thoughtful open.
Yeah.
I don't know. This doesn't seem like it's an afternoon. What? Is this an always strikes late?
It is.
Oh, wait, it is.
It's late.
Oh,
we're
wherever you
striking.
are.
12:30 a.m. this
listeners.
time.
Yep. Might be a little more sun in the sky than right now because we're sitting. It's night. It's time for ruminating. It's time for prevaricating. It's time for vacillating, what we're going to say.
Ooh.
And generally getting off track.
And always striking lating.
Yep.
Good thing.
So, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? This is Matt, along with my awesome co-hosts, Jack and Rocco.
Hell yeah.
And tonight, we've got an awesome player from up in the Pacific Northwest. We honestly don't get him up enough at tournaments. Yeah, I'm looking at you saying that right now. Who always comes in with great strategies, great ideas, and generally does kick my ass every time we have a game. Except for the one time when he thought he could fit the base of one of his models within 6 inches, but it's 130 millimeter base, right?
Oh, is that an Alarial?
No, it was a Maw Crusher.
Yeah.
Maw Crusher turns out is like 6 point something inches.
Yeah,
it's a wildly big base.
And I had to point it out, and I felt so bad. But
hey, you remember the time you rolled the rally on your dragon ogres? 4 dragon ogres immediately returned to the field.
Yep.
That's a soul crushing moment right there.
It was.
The old days of rally.
That's right.
I mean, not that we were going to get far afield, but because it's always strikes late. Yes, we are.
Yes.
Feels bad rallies of the past. Nothing's ever going to beat the 2 dragons coming back.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, that was enough. That was too much. Far too much. But now we get wounds back, which is cool.
Hey, that's a great thing. Yeah.
Not for my dragon ogres. Let me
good
just
for
say
heroes. It's good for heroes.
I have so many opinions on current rally. Like, yes, is it better in terms of like consistency and not swingy? But yeah, it's weird with large wound models. It's weird because like it's almost like a weakness of a 4 or 5 wound thing because you just can't generally count on even one.
Yeah, which I think is probably better for the game. If I were to be able to bring my all Theridon list and just rally back all the Theridons, nobody would be having a good time except me.
It's true. It's true. Oh,
now once you get over like the 4 wound models, it becomes a heal with the off chance of getting one back. It's like, there's like a 1 in a very slim chance that you can get one back, but realistically, if you're running 4 wound models, one of them's going to take 3 wounds. That's going to happen at some point, and rally is a good point to just fix that.
Exactly. Don't need heal. I mean, it has a function, and of course, your big hero hammer monsters or whatever, perfect for them just to stay in the fight longer versus third.
Yeah, it kept my soul grinder alive way longer than it ever should have.
But Mike,
in the last tournament,
Mike, I got a question for you. What armies have these multi-wound models that would benefit from something like this? What?
Look at this pivot.
There you go.
Well,
hey, I've used it on my Gorgruntas. I've used it on the Gorgruntas, and I think it's a great pin.
Oh no! Are we going to be talking about IronJawz tonight?
Indeed, we're going to learn.
I'm here.
Thank God. I'm only used to getting my ass beat by him. We got to learn some new tech here.
Got to learn about what the orc and the pork are doing in this edition.
Armored orc, unarmored pork.
Is it too late for you to give a wog, or is it a little too loud?
We get to the wog at like the good worst roll, right? We can't just open the wog. You open with the wog, then you run.
I didn't mean to break your soul. I didn't mean to break your soul.
We all need to work up the energy for that.
We want to turn 2 nowadays.
Yeah. We're still in this building right now.
Gone.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just setting up, right? Like I haven't even given the list.
I don't know who's attacker defender yet. What's going on here, Mike?
I'm excited about this journey tonight to hear more about what you're thinking about it, Mike. Because as a good, honest, Salt of the Earth, Slaves to Darkness player without tricks or shenanigans. I want to learn what you guys got going on.
Yeah, they run up and hit you, right? That's an honest. They play an honest game of Warhammer. I heard.
That's true. That's true. Which is tough right now, but they have enough. They have enough working with them that they can overcome a lot. Like we'll get into it, but like from the hero phase move to easy access to 3d6 charge, it means that they're hitting way outside of what you'd expect. That I like. That's why I'm playing.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mike, if we want to start off with this top-down view here, man, walk me through it. Let's go to this faction pack war clans and pick out some IronJawz stuff. What are we doing here for battle traits, even?
Yeah, so right at the top, it's super easy stuff. There's a hero phase move, 3 inches, any unit, and it's both hero phases, if I'm remembering that correctly. It's both hero phases. You're making a 3-inch move. That the utility. In last edition, like how much did what was the corn thing? Blood,
the murder lust thing.
Murder lust.
You basically have free murder lust
because once per turn, any hero phase, it's there.
It's free murder lust, and that was devastating at the end of the last edition. And it's it's kind of but like as things are right now, but it's still a strong ability.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can just moving into combat.
Any movement shenanigans are always. Oh, sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh no. Any type of move into combat without having to deal with repercussions, not getting anti-charge on you, right? There's a lot of really cool little things that you can do with our little keyword salads now.
Totally agree with that. I'm already a fan. Just all this cool stuff.
And it's in the hero phase. It's in the hero phase, so it's before your opponent gets to move.
Yeah.
Which means you can end your turn, and then 3-inch move at the start of their turn.
Yeah.
They're gonna, of course, get their spells first. Like if they got a teleport, that's certainly a thing. But like it's something that you have access to. I've used it very effectively with pigs. We'll talk about why I think the little pigs are still good. Yeah, you charge in, you wipe a unit because you are going to wipe a unit when you hit it, and then that's the end of my turn. I've wiped your unit. Now I'm up in your business because next turn around, I'm moved into combat with 2 support heroes and 1 screen.
Yeah.
So even then, couldn't you also power through? And then
the power through. That's right.
Yeah, power through. I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I'm failing here, but I haven't found a lot of use out of power through just because like you have to move around them. So if they're just in a line and you're trying to get something behind it, you can't push through the model. You have to go all the way around. Which I'm not operating off a lot of bases here, so like it's not like I can.
And who has the CP at the end of the turn anyway? Really, I mean,
that's particularly why I haven't been able to do it. I've been on the save the CP kind of thing because I tended to throw mine away on the first turn, and not really throw them away, but like you have access to so many CP, it feels natural to just be like, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I'll get one, and then you're like, wait a minute, oops.
I personally feel that like power through is like probably like the secret sauce, but I haven't unlocked it yet. I haven't had to use it much or maybe made the best advantage of it the few games I've played. But I feel like it does a lot of work. It does a lot of work to break through screens and get in funny places. But that's just me.
I feel like there's something with the big pig too that goes with that. But
big pigs are great. Big pigs are great.
Yeah, but we're still on the high end view here too. So we've got that. We've got the IronJawz Wa ability here.
And it leads right into I think what is the main tech, which is stacking attacks. The old IronJawz stacked damage and rend. The new IronJawz stack attacks.
Okay.
There's a couple different ways of getting +1 attack. We'll go through them all, but you want those extra attacks because especially now that you've been moved to a 4 to hit, it's all about number of dice. You need to get like it's not hard to get a unit of brutes to 50 attacks. And
that sounds
even
terrifying.
even hitting on 4s, you're still hitting with 25 3s to wound. So you're still looking at like that's what 16 on average. So 16, you can get yourself to a good rend. So even if half of those 8 go through, they're 2 damage a pop. So it's 16 damage, and that's not even the hardest they can hit.
Yeah.
So you're dropping monsters, you're dropping the units. We can get to that, but stacking attacks is very good. And Wa is just a once per game. Cool. Everybody has one more, like one more than you thought they did.
Sure.
So the +1 to charge is nice, but it's not. Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because I think, Mike, it's pretty interesting, right? This is the secret tech. I mean, what gets all the bonus attacks? I know you can walk and get bonus attacks. What else does it?
Yeah. So the sub factions. There's 2 different sub factions that give +1 attack. One of the 2 I think is substantially better than the other. And then the IronJawz foot boss does. He has 2 separate ways of giving +1 attacks. Though I think he's a trap. We can get to that. I don't think you should run him.
Okay, fair enough.
That it is a way. We can get to the mega boss, but like
So what do you think is what's your sub faction of choice?
Yeah, what are we
yes.
here?
So my favorite sub faction is the +1 attack on charges of ADA.
Oh, the IronJawz Brawl. Okay.
IronJawz Brawl.
The natural disaster.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is my faction of
purely
choice.
on the name.
Yeah. No, it is absolutely the sub faction of choice in my opinion, because and my whole thing, the reason I'm really building into IronJawz right now is unmodified 8+ sounds hard until you realize you are rolling 3d6 to charge. Kragnos is giving it to your entire army.
Point.
Yeah.
Kragnos is giving it to your army. You are going to want to run Kragnos. There are lists you can run without Kragnos. Absolutely. I think Kragnos is very useful, though. There is a War Chanter prayer that gives you 3d6 to charge as well. If you need that, that's something you have to kind of build for.
Okay.
But
the War Chanter kind of got changed, a little nerfed compared to what it was. People are saying it's different.
Still got 6 wounds at least, right?
Yep, still 6 wounds. It has a 4-up save, which the rest of the army has 3-up. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. He's just as armored as everybody else, but hey, it is what it is.
I mean, it's easier to find the holes in the armor because he's chanting so loud.
Yeah,
you know? Chanting
right in the crazy man. Yeah,
he's all about the armpits. Like he's just full on showing armpits. Maybe that's
hot. I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's not hunkering down properly with all that animated movement.
But showing the pressure points right away, just right there for the arrow.
Yeah. But I think they got a lot of play, and because there's a lot of mixed dialogue around them. Some people are saying they're great, some people are saying they're awful. IronJawz as a whole. I think right now when the tournament results are coming in, like IronJawz are performing. They just are. And I think that's indicative of something that people who are playing them are finding it. They're finding what is going on, what's working.
You know, I've seen some of that stuff, Mike. It feels like they have something going on in their toolkit. And even like what you're describing, or some of the rumors I've heard in the wind about either more damage or more attacks, just waves of stuff coming off brutes. Some of the tech you see about being able to just shut down smaller dudes, even contest objectives. It seems like it's all there.
That is very fun.
I just get jealous. I just get jealous of these sort of things. I'm like, well, we're going to have these rules.
Well, and there's something to be said too about not having to worry about bravery for them, right? Previously, you could count on, you could previously count on just taking care of 1 or 2 brutes purely through forcing a bravery test on another unit, right? That needed to be in something when your target is really just make more brutes run so they don't kill you next turn, right?
No,
and
I'm going to pull up the brutes right now. I just want to gaze upon them.
They are, I love them. They're a great war scroll, top to bottom. Everything on that war scroll is fantastic.
And again, another name for the cool ability, the you messin'. Come on.
Okay, so like, just off the top of it, you know, for 200 points, but you're getting 5 dudes, so that's 15 wounds, a 3-up save.
Yeah,
you got oh my god, you messing so good.
That's the next thing, right?
Them, by the way, you are reinforcing your brutes. I mean, you can run into Unified brutes, but if you're gonna run small units like that, run Ragers. But so for brutes, I say you always got to reinforce brutes. If you want that small thing, Ragers exist, and Ragers are fine. Ragers are fantastic. With the list that is going right now, where it's just like all Ragers all the time, I think that's really cool.
So
That's fun sounding.
So are you reinforcing them because you can pop in the all-out defense and just have like a giant thing of 2+ when you need it?
Yeah. Having a block that just doesn't move is important. And since IronJawz lost their key ability, smashing and bashing, we still have it. It's an insult to the name, though. Full on unacceptable. But so it's an insult to the name. But since we lost that ability, when you're going with IronJawz, I personally believe that when you pick a unit, it has to die. Like whatever they're fighting has to die. Yep. And the amount of damage that 10 brutes is putting out is just so intense that it's like 5 as a little like objective grabbing screen unit. They're like, that's what Ragers are for. They can move a lot better than the brutes can. So that's Ragers' job.
I'd even go so far as to say you like a 10-pack of brutes, even because if someone has a horde busting spell or something, cool, you roll as many dice as there are on the unit, and then it's like 5s or 6s. Cool, they 3 wounds each.
Yeah.
The 3 wounds kills so 3 max.
You did 2 wounds to a dude. Okay.
And you just think about it, guys, like against infantry, like the most common, arguably the most common, like, type in the game for bodies on objectives and stuff, all your stuff is Ren 2 because you anti-infantry on the brute weapons. And even those 5 dudes are putting out 12 or 13 brute weapon attacks, 4s and 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage, and then the gore chop up for some spice, 2 rend and 3 damage. Like that's a lot of damage off of like your baseline infantry, and that's before any buffs or bonus attacks. I mean, this is like just like the recipe, raw ingredients here for scary, and like there's just no downside to this unit. Like if you can move them quickly and park them where you want them, this is exactly the unit you want sitting on anything. Yeah, come fight me over this objective. I'm already excited.
Exactly.
I would even argue because of their 3-up save, even though they have less wounds than gluttons, that's similar enough with the 2 damage weapon, the amount of attacks. Sure, you're wounding on a 3, but again, you're a bit more survivable with that better armor save. And if gluttons are popping off for ogres, why can't the brutes do something similar?
Well, and then you want to even move over to like when you're thinking about like a rally, right? You've got a decent chance of bringing one full one back.
That's right, because 7 dice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're only 6. They don't have any.
They don't musician
or whatever musicians.
Okay.
They don't have anything like that. So you're 6. So it's but with the being a 4-up,
still
4 up on 6 dice is 50-50. It's 3 up. So it's again, even if you don't, your brutes are going to have 1 or 2 wounds. So cool, you didn't get a brute back. Well, you still heal.
Yeah, you healed back the 2 wounds my spell buster, my horde busting spell did.
Yeah,
great.
It's
I wasted my
cast.
Point. Okay, so we're high on brutes here. What heroes are we liking to pair with them?
Yeah, that's in. So
right what are we doing?
I think Kragnos is the secret sauce of the army. Right now, he's carrying so much weight. You can run an army without Kragnos. That is absolutely doable. I think he's just the bee's knees.
And he's on a 4-up save these days, huh?
He's on 4-up save. He's got a 5-up ward, which is nice.
Okay.
But his big thing, his big thing is an area range of 3d6 charge range. Which again, if you're running the faction where you 8 up is an extra attack, means that you're almost guaranteeing yourself an extra attack on the charge.
Yeah.
As long as you're near Kragnos. He now has the IronJawz keyword.
Ooh,
so that means he is affected by Wa. He is affected by the War Chanter's chants.
Wow.
He's not affected by the sub faction, the 8+ because it says non-hero units.
Yeah.
So he's not affected by the sub faction, but not because he doesn't have the IronJawz keyword. That IronJawz keyword means that you can use the +1 damage prayer to give +1 damage to all his weapons. And on the Wa turn, he also has +1 attack to all his weapons. That's angry. That is a lot of anger.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan.
It's so true. It's so true. But even just as a mobile battery, that 3d6 charge, he's already so scary.
And
Yeah.
he's the last missing piece of what makes brutes really playable. Is they've got the defense, they got the offense, they've got the tech with the 3-inch move and the shutting off contest, and now with him they've got the speed.
Okay.
So they become it makes a brute heavy list sting with Kragnos. I think he's just arguably the best part of the army right now.
So does that 3d6 charge work in your opponent's movement at the end of your opponent's movement?
No, it does not.
Phase?
No, it is your charge phase. You cannot counter charge 3d6.
Because,
boy, if you could, but no counter charging 3d6. Just your charge turn. So it's so that's really good. I really think Kragnos is a winner. I mentioned a few times a war chanter. You gotta have one. You gotta have a war chanter.
Okay. Why do you have to have a war chanter these days?
Now wait a second, Mike. Wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the war score right now. It just says here, in the vampire's passive, add 1 to the number of dice rolled and making charge rolls for friendly destruction units with their wholly controlled units to maximum 3. There's no restriction in the face.
Does it say at the start of your turn?
No, it's the top. It's in the ability. Like the top of the ability. So it'll say your charge phase, right? Am I wrong?
No, it doesn't say it at all. It just says it's a passive, so it doesn't have anything to do with the phase. Just add 1 to the number of dice rolls and making charge rolls for friendly destruction units. They hold it within 12. So you actually could do this on counter charge, I think.
It's like stonks went up.
Yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
This is while we all double check.
Yeah, seriously. Like, hey,
Because
if I'm wrong and he's even better than I thought he is, then yay.
As the resident fact,
I just happened to be looking at it as you said it. I'm like, whoa, you know what? Stonks up, Kragnos. He's beating that big old shield with his mace. The drum is real.
He's got a spell ignore. He's got a rampage. That's nice. That is one scary dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the mortal wound explosion against monsters. That multiplicative thing is still a thing. That is still a thing.
Still feels bad if you roll that 7 though. it's like playing craps on the Warhammer table.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess Kragnos stocks just went up.
Yeah, I can't
episode.
believe I've been misreading that. Yeah, I've been misreading it and misplaying it. That's nice. I have more power than I thought I did.
That's always a good feeling, right?
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, war chanters though are a must. They all 3 of their prayers are good. They've got a +1 damage prayer. The bonus is you get to choose multiple units instead of just 1 to get +1 damage.
Okay.
They've got a prayer that's +1 to charge, or the bonus is 3d6 to charge. Again, that is something you can build for, like do it in your opponent's turn and then try and go for it on your own turn.
Sure.
Is something if you don't have Kragnos, it's solid. And then the last one is a heal, which can help.
Heal D6 if you get an 8 up, it's D3 +3. So yeah, I see it here.
D6 is nice.
You're mostly going to be doing the damage one. You are mostly going to be doing the damage one on whatever pack of brutes is hanging out right next to him. But the others are good. Like you have them. So that's good. I think he's great. In my personal list, I'm a 2-drop. That's all I run is Kragnos and 1 war chanter.
Okay.
He does take up a lot of points.
So
Kragnos does, yeah.
Real quick though, before we get, because we did prayer lores. I'm looking at the spell lore here. It doesn't seem bad.
Yeah, the spell lore's fine. So because there's the weird knob who's the caster. I don't run it because there's sometimes on the train you're getting +1 to cast with the arcane scenery and whatnot.
Place of power does not, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm looking at those cast values, and if I'm adding a drop to my list and spending like 100 and something points, I want it to go off every time I want it to. Like I don't like how 7 to cast, 6 to cast. The odds of failure on those are just, I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's not for me. Some people are running it, some people are showing success. Maybe I just don't understand magic. My other army is corn. For me, I'm like, I'm gonna give it a pass, but I think there is play because the spell list is strong. That's a strong
Yeah.
spell list.
I mean, it's maybe a good side note for later when you are talking about your list, Mike. I mean, how have you run into magic? Have you dealt with like swarms of endless spells you couldn't counter, like all that good stuff for consideration when you chat about it? Because I am curious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we're running a 2-drop. That's really the other hero you like bringing. Is there a world where the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher could see some play?
I don't think so. I mean, I do not think so. Maybe somebody's found something I haven't. When you run the actual numbers, the damage output is not enough. It's near 500 points for a unit that, yeah, the 3-up save's nice, and yeah, it's got a high wound count, but there are
already
more
do
durable
anti-infantry.
things. Yeah,
So-
you're already,
So I can see an alternative build going the exact opposite way. If you were to go into spells, right? The first thing I'd want to do is bash some lads on him, right? And then throw a 3d6 charge on him. And then I've essentially got a 3d6 charge critting 2, right? For every hit.
Broods. But it's better on broods. It's better on 6 pigs.
Oh, I'm sure it's better on 6 pigs. But I have
Cheaper.
2 of the big
And more
boys, and I
durable.
at least want to try them.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I have 2 as well. So like, yeah, no, I've run them for a while. They've been the staple of the army. That's where you started your IronJawz army since IronJawz were a thing. Okay, you're running a Maw Crusher. Now what happens?
Well, they were always a thing, right? You basically bought the army because of that model.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
get your big cabbage.
The amount of times Mike has had to explain to me how the wound healing thing worked, like you guys have no idea how many times he has explained it to me. I'm like, yes, I understand. In our next game, I'll like walk up and I'll be like, yeah, I totally understand how it works. He starts adding wound suit. I'm like, what?
No, I totally get that
like
too.
Over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
literally done the same thing.
Sorry, buddy.
Many times in third, the friends of mine who are playing IronJawz, I'm like, okay, time to unpack this like thing again. I feel like that meme of like the woman trying to understand like the hard math equation. She's like,
it's floating around like, what's this shit? What? Okay.
Every time.
So cabbage oppression is over.
I think so. The named character one, Gordrak. That's it. Gortrek. I can't remember. Not the little dwarf, the big.
Gordrak,
the guy on the shelf. The guy on the shelf.
He's got play. He has got some play with his bonus to the wall. He's got like, I think the wall gives them something else on top of the thing.
Yeah, this is add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made by friendly IronJawz units, only with an 18 of this unit.
Which isn't bad, especially in an army where you're hitting on 4s. It's good. His wah, his little boosted wad helps. I don't know if I'm entirely sold, but
you have other tech. You got a Kragnos to play with. What are we doing?
His whole thing is his rend is anti-monster, isn't it?
I believe so.
So that's going to also depend. Like, he can be very strong against other monsters, but if they're not running him, there's a lot of like, yeah, he's useful. He has a place. He exists. I'm not saying he's bad. It's just he has a place. It's just not one that I think is the.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let him go kill Sons of Behemoth. You've got infantry to slaughter.
Yeah. No, makes sense to me.
Plus, if you're running Kragnos, you don't need another monster and another anti-monster tool. Like, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, you're good.
He's ultimately just the best destruction monster you can have because he's so great and getting where he needs to go and doing his damage and killing other monsters. Like, he's a crusher.
He's the best non-Beast of Chaos model out there.
Can we take a moment just to talk about that? I was just thinking about it again. Like, when I was looking at Mike's list, he's such a weird Saturday morning cartoon character of an addition to the destruction lineup. Is like, you don't belong to any of these factions. They've just decided you're their god. You're just an angry centaur they follow around. Who looks like a big centaur.
Yep.
There's gonna be a point where he gets his own army, and I think that's gonna be glorious, right? Just a bunch of little baby centaurs.
And then they can no longer take him with other destruction armies because he's like, you guys have been following me around, but I found the Droguk or whatever they are. That'd be really funny. Like,
that'd be painful. That'd be super painful. But
I don't wish that anybody in Mike, trust me, I don't wish that on you and the IronJawz. I will have it be known that
We
I have
need
my
him.
own.
We need him.
I know. I have my own Kragnos, who I converted to be Kragnos, the god of the meat quakes, and it's essentially just Kragnos with like an ogre head, like a bald ogre head.
Yeah.
And his base is surrounded by like those big like rib hunks you can get from some of the old ogre kits.
Yeah.
And like I did that
Nice.
because I had them for my ogre mod tribes, and I couldn't imagine them following around the centaur. I'm like, this just has to be an ogre who wandered into the wrong tomb and ate something he shouldn't have. This is our
Yeah,
Kragnos.
that makes sense. But Mike, I got another question for you then.
Yeah.
So you've got your priest. What trait, what artifact, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so in my list, because Kragnos can't take the good stuff, I'm pretty much strapped. But there are good choices for the non-combat IronJawz hero. Whether you're taking a wizard or a priest, it's a good choice. One of them is +10 to your objective control,
which is
this is an
trophy
artifact.
rack.
Sure,
Yeah,
artifact.
trophy rack.
Cool.
And having a little dude who can stand on an objective and count as 12.
That's so annoying.
Like
that just seems amazing.
So annoying.
When people I was playing against my buddy, Daughters of Cain, and he ran his what are they, Kinurai or whatever?
Yeah,
he's like, okay, the 5, the 5 of them move on to the objective, and I was like, no, they don't. Like, no, they don't.
Yeah,
sorry, friend.
No, that's too funny. That's got to be such a moment. I mean, how many times that happened to you, like Mike, like in a good game like that, like a tournament game where someone's like, aha, I stole the objective. And you're like, but you did not.
Not anymore.
Yes. But 12, though.
I do love that brings that kind of like in a higher, not a higher stress, but like a down to the wire game where, you know that you can take that gamble, put them off on the edge and say, come get me. That's really worth it.
Yeah,
especially when Kinurai or
like a substantial unit will kill him. He's gonna die. But those little I deep strike this little Nurglings back behind you. I deep strike my Kinurai. It's that's not gonna be enough. That's not gonna do it.
Yeah, I love that. And the other ones for posterity, we have Amber Bone Whetstone to give you extra red on one of your weapons, or the Armor of Gork to give you a 6-up ward save. Which
the Armor of Gork is almost an insult. A 6-up ward save for the Armor of Gork.
Well, so the way I see it, Kragnos was hard to kill back when he had a 2-up save and a 6+ shrug. Until we got into the Rend Wars, right?
Yeah, and the save stacking and the whole bit.
Outside of an anti-monster, we're not really running into the amount of attacks that could, kind of equal the Rend Wars. I could see it working out for like a larger model, just to save that 1 or 2 wounds that you need to keep profile, and then you can rally once you've destroyed the unit, etc., etc., etc. Right? I could see it. I don't think it's like the first choice, but
and not for Mike's list. Not what we're working with. We're cooking with other stuff right now. We have a named monster. We got other profiles for that. That's what we're saying here.
Well, why don't we take a moment, guys, just to read through this list? Is that okay, Mike? We read through this list.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that's the list that I've been running. I have a buddy, Will. He also plays IronJawz. He runs a very different list. So it isn't an army where you can. This is the list. IronJawz have flexibility, but this is what I found to be the most successful.
Many a good list. Okay. I'm gonna rattle it off.
Matt, I'm so happy for myself that I don't have to deal with Big Wow, but so sad for Will because he was having so much fun with that for a while.
Yeah.
I'm also so happy that I don't have to deal with that.
No, Miles is also a victim of not having Big Wow. He built that whole Big Wow army. Now he has to play individual war clans.
Now he's just got to have a couple of individual armies. But anyways, we've digressed.
Yes.
Let us return to the list.
I'm gonna read out this list in a semi-sonorous voice. Let's try to give it its due.
Hell yeah, Jack. Get it going.
We'll try. All right, listeners, just get ready.
Give us the
As you think about how good this sounds, don't forget to like and subscribe. We didn't say that yet. So
No, there's a Patreon. We've got merch. Go ahead.
Yep. If you're inspired to, the highest tiers of echelon you can afford. Don't be shy.
We have shorts.
Yes, indeed. Oh, those are going to be excellent. If you're not wearing them now, you should be comfortable, like sitting in the cloud. Adding on to that digression.
Oh, please.
Going all the way back to what we were talking about, which is Mike's list.
Mike's list.
All right, here we are. Army, IronJawz. The IronJawz Brawl. 2,000 points on the nose, 2 drops, very tight. Prayer lore, war beats. And the regiments, the general's regiment. Who's the general? It's Kragnos.
War Master.
War Master, he's got to be.
He is a War Master. And what is he war mastering? His reinforced unit of Gorgruntas. Only unit in the general's regiment. And then the only other regiment is his Seneschal, the war chanter, who follows him around with his buddies, which are 2 units of reinforced brutes for 400 points each. So real high and tight here with what? It's like, like very, very few drops.
5 units.
Very few units. But boy, howdy, do they hurt.
Yeah, and they're hard to kill.
Exactly. So here we go. So this is like what we're looking at, right? And kind of what you've been talking about, Mike. You have Kragnos here. You got these brutes who can, of course, be buffed up by the war chanter, who himself is like a good objective sneaky sitter. And those brutes can kind of get wherever they need to go with that 3d6 charge. And of course, the Gorgruntas can do the same. So you have really 3 strong combat things beyond Kragnos himself, and those brutes, totally have their 4-inch move weakness erased, because they're not going to have a hard time engaging at most maps with 3d6 opportunity.
A lot of
one
objectives.
Of technically a 7-inch move, right? One of them's technically a 7-inch move on your turn.
Yeah, right? because
the 3 inches. Yeah. Okay. My current strat with that list, how I've played it, is because you're going, you got 2 drops, you have very high odds of going second. In most armies, they are not going to alpha strike you. Some will, that's scary, but most armies are not going to run across the turn and run across the table and charge you. So on your opponent's turn, you push your pigs forward 3, then your opponent does their stop.
Yep.
On your turn, you push your pigs 3 more. They're now 6 inches off your line. They move their 9 inches. Then you move Kragnos up to just touch that bubble.
Okay.
And then you send the pigs in, reinforced unit of pigs, so it's 6 pigs, as wide and as far as you can. You want to touch as many things as you can with it.
Got that good coherency.
The 6 pigs are going to deal roughly 20 damage because they're going to have +1 attack because of the 8-inch charge that they probably got. Yeah. So they're going to deal roughly 20 damage. It's a little bit less now. They FAQ'd that faction abilities no longer affect companion weapons. Companion weapons just used to be restricted by units using abilities.
Sure.
Now it's all abilities. So they're a little bit less, so maybe like 15, 18 wounds. So you're probably going to kill a thing. Aiming for screens is always good to get them out of Kragnos' way because he's coming next turn.
Yeah.
But you want to tie up as much as possible so that if you don't get the double turn, they are dealing with all this pig. The temptation is going to be there with those 4s to hit on that charge, and you are fighting to all attack him. I recommend not doing that. Just take what damage you can and all out defense them. They need to survive until your next turn.
Which against 4 and up, right?
3 up. 3 up. So with all the defense, you're pushing it to a 2. If they have crit mortals, that sucks. that's because crit mortals are your weakness. They are the enemy, and they are very common. But a lot of times, you just want to tie up as much as you can. Even if they get wiped on your opponent's turn, at least your opponent spent their turn wiping that unit. Because the idea is on the
blunt the whole thing, blunt the whole counteroffensive.
Exactly. Now it's your turn, or hey, lucky you double turned. Neat. But one or another, it's your turn. Now Kragnos and both units of brutes are going in on a 3d6 charge. You are wawing this turn. So yeah, that means that the brutes are going to be at their 3 attack space, +1 for the 8-inch charge, +1 for the wall. That's 5 attacks a brute. And then you just hope that you've destroyed everything there, because let's face it, you probably did. Kragnos has to pick his target wisely. He's the only one who has to pick, because if somebody's going to kill him on the blowback, because he's not the most durable thing. If somebody's going to kill him on the blowback, pick your target smart with Kragnos. Fight first with Kragnos, who should, because of the amount of turns that have passed, have that War Chanter buff, the +1 damage.
Sure.
So, if you did get the extra prayer off, you throw the second one onto a unit of brutes.
Okay.
But Kragnos, you pick him first. You need to kill whatever he's in, because Kragnos can't take a lot of a blowback. Whatever unit of brutes they target, that one you all out defense. Try and take the hit. You pick the other brute unit that went in, you all at attack of that one to deal as much damage. Ideally, you destroy what they have, at least to a point where they can't reasonably fight back on turn 3 and 4.
Okay.
So it is an army that just wants to punch you really hard in the face. Because of the points things right now, a lot of armies can't afford screens. So that's something we don't have to worry about anymore in some armies.
Yeah, this is a whole new world where we're seeing this. And also with the brutes, again, to stop people from being able to score objectives, you charged onto 3d6 charges huge. You do have enough units that you can still contest 2 to 3 objectives, which is usually enough in this case, leaving your guy with the trophy skulls in the back there to sit on a home objective, so he doesn't have to worry about teleports. But what trait are you taking on him?
Oh, yeah. The redeploy automatically, it's the minimum of 4. Anything less than 4 counts as 4.
Love it.
I love that one.
So
yeah, it's just a great one. I don't use it a whole lot, but you have it. It's a nice thing to have, especially because if your War Chant is a little bit out of range, he can redeploy himself to get little. And the redeploy, you don't have to worry about rolling that one.
The alternate too is, right, if somebody teleports in, they're 9 inches away generally, so then you move your full 4 inches. Sorry, buddy, you're outside of charge range, right? Unless you get a 3d6 charge.
So the War Chanter most often uses it on himself. That is the most common for these type of tech-related purposes.
That's awesome.
Or to, unfortunately and suddenly toe in on an objective they didn't want you to.
Again, not bad.
With, again, his 12 control score.
So how does this do on battle tactics? It seems like you're just going straight up the middle. Do you get that with the pork? 2 units in the center, and then second.
So I've played mostly by ear. Generally, I haven't had a huge problem because a lot of the battle tactics are around killing things. Kill a thing you're already in combat with is a destruction. Kill 2 things this turn. There's enough things where I can do that. I'm going to do that. And then late game, like turn 4, turn 5, then I'm retreating back to the center of the table, or my pigs who didn't die go off to the side, that kind of stuff. But no, for turn 1, I generally don't take a battle tactic. It's pretty hard. But if you can kill with your pigs, then that's a good one. But generally, I can sacrifice early game. Maybe I get the underdog if it matters, but it's about turn 2 onward.
It's really go big or go home style of play, like full destruction. Full destruction.
Yes,
I understand.
I like it.
The one hero we didn't talk about, and the one thing that he's not on my list, especially in such a brute heavy list, is I guess we haven't talked about the brute boss or the Ardboy boss.
Yeah, the Ardboys haven't been in here. That's something I would have thought might have been something, but go on.
Yeah, that's another style of play, and we can talk about that. But with brutes, everybody's saying run the Mega Boss, because the Mega Boss gives a unit of brutes. I think it's a +1 attack on a 2-up your hero phase or something like that. And then if he fought already in the combat phase, he gets to dish out on a 3-up or within 3 inches more, another +1 attack. So potentially +2 attacks from one unit. I don't think it's worth it.
I would have thought he would have triggered the fight right after me, which is
doesn't, and that's what breaks him. That's what absolutely breaks him, because first of all, that 2-up for a +1 attack ability sounds cool until you see the price tag. That is a very expensive 2-up for +1 attack. That's a whole unit you're not bringing. He's 200 and something.
Oh wow. Okay.
Ooh.
That's wild
You-
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're adding a drop to your list, and you
Mhm.
are spending that many points for +1 attack on one unit. Because the second ability, if he's already fought, then he gives the +1 attack. Don't pick him to fight first. Like, why are you doing that? Like, that's just a bad choice. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. Like, you don't have a way, at least that I'm aware of, that I've found. You don't have a way of giving him fight at the start of the combat phase.
Mhm.
So that's out of the picture, which means that you are just taking in your sequential choices him first, which means that 10 unit of brutes he's with, you're like, yeah, go ahead and kill them. I'm going to fight with this unit so that they can get extra attack.
Yeah. That's what
So,
I've been hearing from other
so
people too.
here's an interesting take on it. So he's got strength from victory, right? Which is you add a WA token to a maximum of 3 until the end of the next turn. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic of the unit's weapons for each WA token it has, right? Now, it barring, instead of changing your tactics with how you wanted to use the brutes, like you were saying, right? Like one of them all out attack, one of them all out defense.
Mhm.
I could imagine doing the all out defense unit on the brutes that charged in with this homeboy. He gives them the extra attack, and then he mops up whatever's left to get an extra attack on the next turn or the next turn after that, right? And
Because
that
he's
could
fighting
be
first, so you're not mopping up with him in the
You know,
second
he has to
ability.
fight
No,
first.
no.
He has to. For what? What, Matt?
In the hero phase, all he has to do is pick a brute unit to add 1 to the attack. I'm not saying that he needs to fight first to.
It's in the title of the ability. It's in the title ability. It's a reaction to having used the fight effect.
Oh, I'm not even worried about that, right? I'm not worried about getting the extra brutes in, right? So
This
the
is the mega
idea,
boss? This is the get stuck in
Mhm.
lads, you're saying.
yeah, I'm not even
Yeah.
worried about lead to brutes. Like we could leave that off the table for this particular combat that I'm envisioning in a way to turn him into
Okay.
kind of an anti whatever is around afterwards kind of
I need
missile.
to plug my phone in real quick.
Sure,
You got it.
sure.
But yeah,
So
please continue.
essentially what you do is you let your brutes go in, give them the +1 attack in your hero phase so they have an extra attack. Don't worry about making them try and kill the unit entirely. Let him kill the unit, so on the next turn, once the unit's gone, then he can pile in and attack with extra attacks onto whatever other unit is, and he becomes like this almost pseudo distraction Carnifex. Now I don't know if it's
Yeah.
actually a good idea, but then
It's
you
a
can
thought.
attack him, and there's like some kind of use case there, but it feels very situational, especially since he now has to follow a 3d6 charge and is probably going to be a little bit later than his friends to the party too.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's I feel like it is a pretty disappointing thing to not have him chain off attacks. But I could see him being like the ultimate distraction Carnifex, going into like soft targets behind the line that you cleared on your turn and then piled up to the point where you could then reaction charge in your opponent's phase. And then they'd be focusing on him as opposed to, your other unit. That being said, the cost of it until it comes down, I don't know if it's entirely worth it. Because it's just 8 wounds, right? Yeah.
8 wounds on a 3-up.
Yeah. So pretty expensive distraction Carnifex, but man, once it comes down, that could be a very interesting tactic to try and pull off.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, definitely potentially worth it. I'll eat crow when it happens. You know what I mean? like
That's fair.
Like it's yeah, I'm not super impressed. Also, but yeah, the other tech is the last hero, which is the Ardboy boss. There's definitely a list of Ardboys in the Ardboy boss. It's a alpha bunker, go forward and charge me list. Just be durable and deal mortal wounds when they charge you. The shield batch ability becomes 5 up. I mean, like 10 models rolling a die on 5 up. That's a substantial. That's enough mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So it's
what's the war scroll? Is it Zogrod Anvil Smasher, or is it the actual? Oh, it's the actual
the
Ardboy Big
Ardboy
Boss.
Oh yeah,
They
I forgot about
just
the Anvil Smasher.
straight up didn't even want to give him an interesting name. He's just Ardboy Big Boss. Gotcha.
It's just the
Living his
Ardboy
life.
Boss. Yeah.
Oh man, okay. Let's see.
We're not made for thinking. We're made for bashing.
Get bashing. Okay.
Cunning but brutal, as they say. But they
Yeah,
are
I mean-
brutal but cunning.
Yeah, and that's it's actually kind of nice too. That's 3 additional rally rolls. you
Yeah,
know?
that's not bad. We're talking about that before, get 9 instead of 6.
Yeah.
Something.
Mhm. Also,
It's still screwing with me. All these 3 and up saves. That's
I
so
know.
scary.
I know.
What were you gonna
Well-
say there, Rocco?
I say one of the things that isn't a 3-up save, it's a 4-up, is the Maw Grunted Gougers. And I'm just looking at these the Maw Grunters, the big pigs,
Mhm.
where
Yes.
their momentum ability, because I've been seeing some things here, because if you use a charge ability, you get 1 momentum point. Each time you use a run ability, it gains 2. You can have up to 3, and then add it to the damage characteristic of its tusk. End of the round, you lose 1.
Mhm.
But I'm also looking at this like a redeploy is an ability
Redeploy's a run.
that would go out and
Redeploy's a
get you
run.
that.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, that makes the big pig scary. And they
Yeah.
all have neat abilities. One has an
Yes.
ability to make the enemy unit fight last, which can absolutely help if you're trying to chain attacks. Making your
one
opponent
I'm
fight
on.
last is a
The
great way to be
Gouger.
about it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are fully momentumed up, so that redeploy and charge, their damage output matches some pretty intense models in the game. Like all of a sudden they're matching damage characteristics of some scary models, like Bloodthirsters, which are actually hit hard now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
really
cool to
terrifyingly
see.
hard.
Yeah. So I think pigs have some play for that exact reason. You can really jack them up, really get them in there. I'm not using them, but that's not a reflection on them at all. It's a reflection that I don't own any right now.
Yeah, no, it's just talking variety of lists. There's a lot of things, and like you said, people have been down on IronJawz, but there's a lot of things that are very good, and things that even match other armies that we've seen win tournament. Like I caught up with the Honest Wargamers Monday show finally. Now it's Wednesday, but to hear all these different results and tournaments, sure, there's a lot of Night Haunt, but there are a lot of other armies that are doing very well, including IronJawz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what deals with Nightheart really well? A lot of attacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
With extra
Uh,
damage.
we have a local IronJawz player. I've only played them once since I started running the new edition, but I did win.
Okay.
Local Night Hunt player. Right?
Not Dirk, but yes, not local Night Hunt player. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that I did win against the local Night Hunt player. So it's Night Hunt, you just gotta keep punching, right? Like that's the thing. You just gotta keep punching them and like.
And they have a lot of infantry.
You can't leave one sheet flying in the wind, otherwise it'll all come back.
That is the truth. So earlier on, you were talking about a Brute Ragers list. Tell me more, because I see this strike first and I get really excited.
Exactly. If they charge, they fight first. Kragnos is a great way of making sure they charge.
Yes.
With the 3d6, and you took the sub action where the 8 means they get an extra attack. Great. Now they're striking first with an extra attack. If you played it right, you wad that turn because you're trying to keep your units all charging at the same time. So great. +2 attacks on Ragers. And they're all fighting first because they all charged. And then now it's your pick and you choose Kragnos. No, I think that is it's an absolute alpha strike list. I think you need to be careful with it because they don't have the 3-up save that most of the other army has. So you need to be aware that you are not going to take a punch. Like you're not going to.
Yeah, and they're probably one of the reasons I could see a 6+ spell going out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to that, though, what are your thoughts on the Rekkas, the weird brute Rekkas?
Oh, the weird
those
brute
models
Rekkas?
are amazing.
I can't figure them out. They're like Ragers, but worse. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. I looked at the war scroll and I was like, I don't know what this is supposed to do.
Like slightly more attacks, anti-infantry.
Well, they do have a
passive
5+
is
ward.
run and
They do have a
charge.
5+
the ward's
ward.
nice. The ward's
So-
nice, but if you're going for durable, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's a counter to the fact that like your entire army is terrified of crit mortal wounds.
Mhm.
Like at least they can say, well, we got to save at least.
That's
Yeah, so-
fair.
I wonder if they do work well because they both have a run and charge ability, whether you can pair them into something. And then, half the time, whether it's a monster or it's going to be infantry, you're going to be doing something, right? Yeah.
And make them 9 attacks a model or
Mhm.
whatever with the X because they're 6 base and you add the 2 or 3 or whatever you were just saying. Like but yeah, it's they've got a ward. It's neat, but if it's working, I don't need to get hit back.
Yeah.
If that list is working, then yeah.
It's interesting too, because I could definitely see with the amount of just like, because there's +1 damage or 2 damage on almost every other unit here, or a way to get it there. The only ones, withstanding being Ard boys, right? I could see them almost being like a more of a faster version of the army, but it would come down to the points, which I don't necessarily know. And it seems like a lot of IronJawz is fairly expensive.
That's the truth.
Yeah,
we're an elite army.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, it's good to see.
It is. But yeah, no, because brutes were 200 for 5, right?
Yeah, and keep in mind that both the weird brute Rekkas and the Ragers are just in the units of 3.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oof.
So they are units of 3. So even reinforced, which you probably want to reinforce them.
Yeah,
I think they are. That you can run the Ragers, I think, as minimum units, so just 3 units. If you want that, then they serve 2 purposes. First, they can go grab objectives, like battle tactics. They can flank the edges, and then because they fight first, you don't need to really worry about them. They can be your like bonus damage. It's like, okay, they went out to the flank the edge, they got that battle tactic. Okay, now they charged in, they did what damage they could, but that doesn't count as my pick. Now I get to actually pick with my brutes.
That Miles
actually
was talking about that. Sorry for cutting you off real quick.
No.
But he was talking about that in his tournament experience. He just recently went 3-2 at what was it, the Northern Ireland GT? If I remember right.
I think that was right.
Yeah. Or one in Northern Ireland, at least. Where that was one of his things where he had a unit and he's like, well, if I just split it into 2, that's my battle tactics I can worry about while I have all my other stuff go and smash face. So
yeah,
the thoughts are there. There's sauce to work with here. We've got plenty of options, it seems, in IronJawz, which is nice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not missing the raw components of good stuff there. But continue, Mike. Sorry.
I really think a lot of the army, be it Ragers, Brutes, Kragnos, no Kragnos, Big Pigs, Small Pigs, a lot of the army is different flavors of going and punching the opponent in the face. They've got their play style, with the exception of the Ard boys. The Ard boys are more an army of charge us, please. We're gonna go sit on the objective over there, so charge us. But a lot of the army, and that's fine. I like the alpha armies. That's what I've always played. That's what I want to play, and the IronJawz do still play that way. You just have to use the units smart now. It used to just be you just saddled up with a bunch of big 6 pig, packs, and then you just threw them hard. You took your mega bosses, you took your 6 pig, and you just threw them as hard as you can, and that was that. Yep. Now you can't do that anymore. Now you've got to plan around, where they're hitting, who they're hitting, what order you're hitting in. So they've got a bit more. Yeah.
Well, you got to be brutal but cunning, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So the theme is in fact incredibly consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You love to
So-
see it.
So on that note, like, what do you think is a hard matchup for you then? Like running into other Alpha Strike armies that just out deploy you, or
That is a thing. I played a game against Daughters of Cain, who ran Marathi, which it didn't matter how hard I could punch. And
Yeah.
Marathi could chew through my armor. It's like, oh, you have a 3-up save. Cool. It's going to take her 2 turns to kill a unit, reinforced unit, but she's going to. And so that kind of thing, where basically how he played it was he threw Marathi in as a wrecking ball. He said, it's going to take you 4 combats to kill her. I don't care. She's going to take out most of your army. And then he had bow snakes and spear snakes just backing up and being like, and just anybody who tried to run away from Marathi got stabbed. So it was a tough matchup. Plus, there was all the spear snakes or crit mortaling, which, like I mentioned earlier, is a weakness of the army. You are relying on your 3-up armor save to protect you, which is going to be a 2-up because you should always all-out defense before all-out attacking. The damage will come. You need to survive. So yeah, it's one of those things that crit mortals can push through. So crit mortaling armies are going to be a thing. The last tournament, I wasn't playing IronJawz, but the last tournament I went up against all kangaroos list.
Oh, that do it too, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you 3d6 charge, neat. I'm on the other side of the table. So it didn't matter. So Lumineth are going to do it. As I mentioned before, I'm not super scared of Night Haunt right now, just because I hit so hard. Because the army's not focused around rend anymore, it's focused around number of attacks and damage. It means that every failed save they make is going to be, they're going to be picking up 2 or 3 ghosts. So even in packs of packs of 20, you're going to lift units, which feels good. So Night Haunt, I actually feel kind of confident again. Maybe that's just because I haven't had Night Haunt put me in my place yet.
I feel like Hex Wraiths could kind of give you a problem just because
Hex Wraiths can.
When you're building into like a competitive Night Haunt list, like they're not going to worry about the combat. They're just going to get out, try and put as many others on the board, and then charge right back in. Right?
Yeah, Hex Wraiths are a problem. The amount of times they can give me -1 to hit is probably going to be a problem. So that's going to be a thing. So yeah, -1 to hit, you need to watch out for that. And Night Haunt have it for sure, but you just need to watch out for wherever you go. There's a lot of minusing to hit and wound in this game, and you are susceptible to it. You just got to hope that you're rolling an amount of dice to overcome that. But
Mike, do you want to go first with this army?
No, I never want to go first with this army. I want to go second if I can.
Yeah, you want to let them come to you, right?
Exactly. You want on their turn to build up your prayer points. You want to unleash prayer to build up so that you can get a good prayer off on your own turn. You are not turn 1 charging. I mean, you can with Kragnos, but don't throw them away. Why would you do that?
I mean, you said the pig thing to tie people up, so I'm like, oh, maybe.
The pig thing's good, but you really need to move 3 on their turn, move 3 on your own turn, then go. So, and then you really want that double turn. It's like, oh, you can't choose the battle tactic. Neat. I'm going to try and kill your army.
I'll be tabled and I'll win on primary. It's okay. We're fine here. It is what it is.
So I don't think you ever want to go first.
Just to kind of underline something, just in case people didn't know the change to Marathi, it's now per turn. You can only maximum 3 damage her. It's not per phase anymore. So it does make it a little bit rough.
I feel like it was per turn.
Yeah. It used to be per phase.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, was it per turn?
I think it was per phase to start, then it was per turn, and then it stayed per turn for a little bit. But yeah. Still, per turn. It's
going to be a lot harder to plink damage her, and essentially, so you have to go in and just deal with it, which that sounds nasty.
Yeah, and when you only have 5 units or something to go, and you got to dedicate 1 to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely, that's definitely something you all out defense instead of all out attacking, because you're gonna deal 3 damage. Like, you got it.
Yeah. And you're just sitting there with a 5th of your army, just going, all right, guys, here we are.
Well, that's what makes Marathi such like a crazy puzzle, right? Like, there's no way
Yeah.
around that hard cap.
No.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because I refuse to play her. Like the two armies I've finally come down to are Daughters of Cain, and I think I'm gonna go with Nurgle. Daughters of
Okay.
Cain and Nurgle.
Okay.
Because I want to play a tank and I want to play my Dark Eldar, right?
Yeah.
I want to play those
Get
two.
your blast cannon out.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
there's still something to be said about just how annoying that model is, like in general. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't do it. I can't do it to myself or my opponent. I'll gladly kill my opponents with the bow snakes or just poop on them with Nurgle, but like I can't do it. Can't
Yeah.
handle it.
No.
But so total diversion. But how do you see, what have you played against so far? You've got Night Haunt, you've had Daughters of Cain.
Daughters, other IronJawz. I played Will's other IronJawz. That
The
game was
pork list?
exceedingly. Yeah, he was running some Ragers, some Pig, like Big Pig. He had a good mix. He had the named Maw Crusher. I should really know the name of my own units.
Gordrak?
But Gordrak.
Oh, not Gordrak.
Yeah, he had all that, and admittedly, some things just didn't go his way. But I played the list exactly like I described, and I did get the double turn.
Okay.
So it was just he did manage to bring down Kragnos. The named Maw Crusher hit Kragnos and killed Kragnos. But I was already in. I'd already used all my 3d6 charges. I was already in. And like, even though that fight didn't go my way, every other fight did. So he was led in there with his Maw Crusher, and I was sitting there with, pigs and brutes and yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, I really am interested. Like a really good buddy of mine plays ogres, and I'm really interested to play against ogres. Because ever in the entire history of the game, ogres and IronJawz are on a pendulum swinging back and forth of who's the hittier and who's the durable army. And I think the pendulum is in ogres right now. I think gluttons are just really strong. But because of his limited rend and my armor, he's gonna have to double my damage characteristic to realistically like match unit per unit, which I don't think they hit that hard.
And that's the funny thing, because like when you're thinking, like I haven't run into new ogres yet. I haven't really looked at the war scrolls. They're, to me, like there's something that just doesn't make sense with the army when I tried to play it. I've tried to pick it up like 3 times now. I'm just like, and sell them off, give them away, whatever. But like when I look at the war scrolls for the IronJawz, I see like the perfect counter to them. You have the armor, and you have almost 2 damage almost across the board, right? And then you have a way to multiply your attacks, right?
Yeah.
So it's really just like, what are the saves on gluttons?
5.
Yeah.
So do they have a shrug? No, if you're going to be eating glutton, you're going to be eating glutton mutton.
Because I'm anti-rend infantry on the brutes, so that means they're just not going to get a save. And versus I'm going to be looking at a 4-up save with their -1 rend. That's what I meant earlier by double the damage, because they're going to be on a 0 save and I'm going to be on a 4-up. So they're going to have to double the damage in order to take out IronJawz, which I don't think they hit that. They hit hard, but I don't know if they hit harder than I do in a lot of ways, but they don't hit that hard.
But
if they get the drop, they can.
Oh, go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say, I think if they get the drop with a big enough unit or the right unit, definitely some Iron Guts, things are better. But yeah, the Glutton pack isn't really going to be able to clear what you have going on, I think, Mike.
Yeah. Like plink damage armies will definitely have problems with them. Always has, right? But like the idea that like I feel like you can outgrind an ogre army with an IronJawz army, especially if you're being tactical, if you're leaning into that cunning part of your brutalness, right? And just setting yourself up for, there's my 3-inch right into you when you weren't expecting it, right? 3-inch for the counter charge. that being said, I do wonder. I haven't taken again. I have not looked at Ogre Mao tribes at all. But I do wonder what the unit count is for them and whether they have like the ability to have overlapping counter charges against you. That would be the only thing I think I'd be concerned of.
In my experience, they're about the same as IronJawz. They're almost pound for pound IronJawz. Gluttons are basically like brutes. They cost basically the same amount. They basically have the same job. So that's the thing. They need their giant monsters. They want Kragnouts just as bad as I do.
Yeah.
Maybe not just as bad as I do, but because I need it for that A+. I really need it for that A+.
Yeah.
But
needed.
Yeah,
And,
but
I'd say ogres also have access to magic between the butchers and the slaughter master that they can be putting out some debuffs. Well,
I think they also have a bit more in the way of shooting, and certainly in screens. I mean, Noblar is best screens in the game.
Well,
oh man, I wish I had Noblars.
There's the reason. There's
So
the
good.
reason right there that I would take the unnamed Crusher, Maw Crusher, is because of that 2d6 move after your charge, where you can just hop right over those guys, right?
Yeah, that is nice. That's real nice.
So there's some play there with it against things like Noblars, which are adorable. I love those.
Oh, they're fun. I have like 40 for mine, so they're always looking for their way into the comic relief.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Nice, very nice, very nice.
But on the spells, how are you dealing in what is admittedly a stupidly one-sided spell meta right now without having
you bring in purple sunscreen, or like what are we doing here?
Yeah, so in my
like
experience, in my experience, now not a lot of my opponents run a lot of endless spells, so I haven't seen a lot of them.
Okay.
But my opponents who have brought them it's universally been bad for them. Especially like Purple Sun, that one comes out a lot. It's like, here's my Purple Sun, here's my Gravetide. Deal with this. And I say, you just made my charge easier.
Yeah,
that is all you
come closer, dude.
Like now I'm going to charge that endless spell and then just pile in around it and kill whatever's standing next to it. So
that's a fair point.
Then also because I like when I hit so hard, I can say, okay, these are my 10 brutes. 7 of them are going at them. 3 of them are just going to kill that Purple Sun. It's right there.
Yeah.
So, admittedly, I haven't been shut down by them a lot, but it could happen. I know that they're powerful. I know it's going to happen to me. When it comes to normal magic, most magic I found is buff magic is the most common. So I don't really worry about being hit by it too much. But when I am hit by it, it's rough. That's all I can say. It's rough.
Poof,
like,
and a little mushroom smoke there.
Like it's rough. Like going up against a magic heavy army that wants to hit you with their magic and deal those mortal wounds.
Yeah,
it's a tough day to be an IronJawz player on that.
Goes right through. So like a bad day with an Nagash sitting there.
Like, exactly.
Nagash.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, yep, that's tough. Like,
how often are we seeing Nagash these days?
That's fair.
I don't know. I feel like
he's really good. He is worth every single point.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be around a lot. Now, granted, maybe it's better to have like more ghosts, like we were talking about the other day in our prior episode. But you know, he still does pound for pound a lot of work. He earns those points, I think.
I think once we see Night Haunt points adjusted, which it's a guarantee that's going to happen.
It's coming.
Then we see Nagash come back into play. We see him a lot more, I think. Then I don't know if I see utility for him in Soulblight, just because Soulblight already has so much good work to do with the War Scrolls that it has.
Yep.
But yeah, I think he'll probably end up becoming a linchpin in a lot of like post errata or post points change.
He's very good in OCRs, isn't he? Because you can basically ward him with the other dudes.
Hey, anything to keep me from having to deal with Catacross. Fuck that guy.
Oh yeah.
This stupid little plinth. What do? When he moves 4 inches, do they disassemble it and then reassemble it 4 inches over? What is this?
Hmm.
That's the peak inefficient way to do anything. I thought he was
Are
supposed to be the
people-
most
are people
efficient
carrying it?
warlord ever.
It's
Aren't
pretty
people, like,
true.
aren't there slaves under it, like carrying it, like little skeleton? Am I wrong? I never looked at the model very
I mean,
closely.
there really should be.
You mean like his palanquin, where he's like just kind of hanging out?
Yeah, he's just standing around being a glorious bastard with his giant cod piece, you know?
I always felt like he was just hanging out in some ruin. Like he had like his, command staff or whatever. That could have been any ruin. It's probably like, an oaken table in like a forest or something.
Well, I guess the real question is, does he stand on it while they disassemble it and move it? Or does he acquiesce to walk down the stairs first? That's the real question that I have, you know?
I'm sure it's like a Xerxes 300 sort of thing,
They just pick it up and move it. Yeah,
and
pick
they
up the whole
can
thing.
because they don't even get tired. Like
Well,
the
no,
only people you don't feel bad for.
it's just the feet. Because remember that they're bone shape and everything, so it's just a whole little army of feet waddling underneath it.
Wow, there's just some feet underneath it.
The
Cut them off at the
only
ankles, soldered them on. It's okay.
All
Don't need a
right,
full weld.
new hobby challenge for anybody who's gonna do it. I want to see that just a catacross on a plinth with a bunch of little skeleton feet. And they have to have like a couple of them just like that. When I finally start OBR, I'm definitely doing that.
I want to see that. That would be pretty hilarious. And it does sort of follow the theme, right? So there's at least some, I guess we'll call them canonical evidences of OCR, entities like getting the short end of the stick, like that guy who was like the cod piece on the harvester. Like, I mean, someone came back as that thing. Were they like the worst warrior that got chosen from the bone pile? I don't know, but
I mean, even the horses
in the cards
were people that fucked up.
That's true.
He's
no.
He's the guy. The guy in the horrible situation is the guy who like rolled the last dice to actually get them nerfed on their first book when they had Ren 3 on everything or whatever it was. It's that guy. But speaking of, how do you go into like recursion armies? Like what's your deal with that? Because that seems like something that you can't win in an all-out fight, right? If you're going into the zombies that are just coming back, like even bloodletters, I feel like a 20 block of bloodletters seems like a hard thing for the R boys because they have a 4 and up normally, right? So they can go down to a 3. So you put them back up at a 5, and then they have a 6+ ward, which I think they can modify, but I can't remember. I'm only building mortals.
I don't think so. I play Corn, so I haven't seen a way of modifying the ward roll. No, I mean, it's going to take 2 turns. I mean, 40 wounds. Now, mind you, they're 5-up save. Assuming they're all out defense, they're still only going to get a 6-up because I'm +1 Ren infantry, so it's -2 Ren effectively. They're going to be on a 6-up, 6-up. I'm thinking if I can deal 18, 20 damage to a 3-up save IronJawz, I can wipe a unit of bloodletters.
Okay.
I think you just got to hit real hard. If they charge you, it's going to turn into a grind. You're going to get stuck there. But actually, at the last tournament, I did run my bloodletters against an IronJawz player, and he just pulled my armor save off. So they tied him up for 2 turns, 3 combats in total. But now when we talk about recursion, like the whole dang unit returning or like half the unit returning, that's a tougher. But the idea is with especially Night Haunt and bloodletters and zombies and stuff like that, you just got to try and pick them up in one go. Like just go for that 5 attacks per IronJawz, per brute.
Yeah. Set up favorable fights.
Yeah, some things can go wrong. I really think IronJawz right now are a pretty. If I had to just put a number to it, I'd say 3-2 army. I would expect them to be just about 50% win rate.
Yeah. But if you get like a good matchup, you go infantry heavy, and if you're rocking all the brutes, things could sway back and forth one way or the other. Okay, I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the IronJawz, the answer to any question is just keep punching it. Just keep going. Just like worry about points later. Worry about points on turn 3, 4, and 5. Like just keep punching.
There's nobody left to hold objectives if everyone's dead.
Exactly. Just keep swinging. Keep swinging. Unless you're
Yeah.
running the Ard Boys and Ard Boy
Yeah,
Boss army,
yeah, that's fair.
which is a totally different play style.
The
That's
Alpha
an
Bunker.
army of the Alpha Bunker, and frankly, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have that many Ard Boys, or at least the new Ard Boys. I have like a ton of the old Black Orc kit.
The new ones are pretty cool. I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look very nice. Although
But,
the Black Orcs,
yeah.
you gotta love the Black Orcs. They're just Black
Oh,
Orcs.
indeed.
Yeah.
I've painted 30, 40 of them, something like that. So
Hey,
I have
they're a
enough.
thing in old world, man. You can go right. That's a fun game too.
You know,
Just
all
saying.
the
Secret
systems.
Sauce. Secret Sauce is getting the Grimgore Ironhide model.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
for
putting
sure.
him on whatever base that will fit for whatever you want to do for your combo. Just magnetize him for different bases, and then be like, I've got Grimgore, everything. He's a wizard.
That's
He's
exactly the way
fine.
it goes. That's what you have to do.
Just got to
Yeah.
get the Grimgore.
Make a little sign to put around his neck too, like I'm a wizard. Wizard with a ZRD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
So, Mike,
guys,
I was gonna say I got one more
Go
thing
ahead.
too.
Go Rocco.
So, what is your like one big tip here to aspiring IronJawz players that you could think of that like either something that like you've been dealing with and you're like, okay, like if I could do it again, I'd do this, or is there something like so good about this list, or like what's your last big piece of advice?
Yeah, and I think we've kind of talked about it a few times, but just to put a fine point on it,
Please.
know where your 3d6 charge is coming from. It's either Kragnos or it's your priest, but if you're not running Kragnos and you're running the priest, then you are going to need to counter pray, unleash prayer, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever.
On their turn, every single turn. Every single turn, there is no taking back on that. You need a 3d6 charge. Even if you're not running the 8 up, because the other good sub action is when one brute or one unit fights, the next unit fight gets +1 attack.
Yeah.
I think just why not give them both of the 8-inch charge? But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just you need to know because you are largely a slow army. And now big pigs are an exception to that. But so you can run fast. If you run all big pigs, you're gonna have very few wounds in your army.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be scary. But yeah, just know how you're getting into combat, and yeah, just keep punching. Just keep punching.
Okay. Just keep punching.
Anything you want to see with IronJawz coming up? I mean, now we're in a totally new edition. We're gonna get a new book. We're gonna get something. What do you think the army could use that would add another piece of like tactical fun to it, if you will? Something that would either be more brutal or more cunning.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I would love, I mean, if I'm completely honest, I would love just a little point drop, just a little point drop. Let me fit one more unit in. But no, I suppose, and that would be my last thing is if I would ask for another thing, it would be a little unit. Like what you're mentioning are like a Noblar equivalent. Yeah, exactly. Like give me like, I don't know, give me like in second edition I allied in 10 or 20, I guess it came back to 20 goblins with netters. So they get the -1 to hit or whatever. It's like, and that was good. It was like, cool. This is a little block that you have -1 to hit around them, and they can screen me if you're alpha charging. And
would you consider the Bottle Snatches Regiment of Renown?
I haven't really looked at it. I'm going to be real with you.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I can actually pull that up
So,
real quick. It's squares.
So, do you think it would still retain its kind of elite form if you were to bring screens?
That's a good point. It kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like the vision of the army would be changed. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
So many drops, points are hard.
Yeah, brutes are already a catch-all for your infantry. Cavalry just don't hit as hard, but like I mentioned earlier, their job is to go forward and be durable somewhere.
Yeah, you're pinning something in place.
Pinning something in place and moving fast. It's because the army needs something to move fast. You can't go all brutes because you will be too slow.
Yeah.
So you need to get something up there. But that's the thing. Between the big pig and the 6 pig, we have options for speed. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, it's a really Ragers have that little like objective grabbing, but we're gonna fight first. I just really like where the army is right now. I don't know if it really needs another unit, if I'm honest. I
So,
think I'll tell you what we need. We need our own book. We need to be separate from the Cruel
There we
Boys.
go. Yeah.
Why are we in the
Go
same bag?
back.
Why are we in the same pack for no reason?
Go back.
So I'll while Rocco looks for that, I'll propose a new unit.
Please.
So I propose the one thing that I see is there's
specific location and watch you read.
is somebody
Jack?
Jack?
Nope. Because what?
What specific
Nope,
location?
You good. So one of the things that is very clear is there is almost no shooting in the army. The only shooting in the army is the Mog Hunter. What I propose is to keep that theme, but give us a nice little either unit or a support character, and bring back the one thing that I feel like orcs have kind of lost in Age of Sigmar, which is their kind of like lunacy that they used to have, and let them be like a couple of orcs who have fought against fire slayers and really like the idea of throwing axes. So you have a bunch of over armored orcs with big throwing axes. And whatever they throw their axes into, they get +1 to charge because they got to get their axes back, or something like that, or +2 to their movement, or something like that. That would be hilarious. Totally would not fit current IronJawz theme at all, but it would be hilariously cool.
Okay.
I can dig that. I can totally dig that.
Mike's like, no.
Mike, no.
No.
I wouldn't run it.
All right. Let's try this because there's two that are interesting for this. One is Brad gets bottle snatches. It can be taken by Bone Splitters, IronJawz, Cruel Boys, Ogres, and Sons. You get a Rabble Rouser, which is the hero. You get a Gobblepalooza, a Squig Herd with 12 models, and a 10-man Squig Hoppers unit for 490 points.
Oh, this one. I didn't know that the name. I didn't know it by name, but now I recognize it. Okay.
Yeah. But no, you get a Deep Strike from one of your units that can be outside of 9 inches. And bring the Gobblepalooza, and they cast a spell, which -1 to hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units while they are wholly within 12 of the caster. You broadcast this -1 to hit bubble to protect your IronJawz.
So I think that works in helping like moving up the field, maybe, but that's in a non like
avoiding the alpha
Kragnos
getting
list.
destroyed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's a lot.
Yeah, I'd rather have even a 3-unit of pig or 1 big pig because it's going to hit harder with all my buffs because they're going to get all the extra attacks. That Gobblepalooza ain't going to get the extra attacks.
Gotta give up a lot of charging with orcs for that.
Yeah,
exactly. Like anything that's gonna dull my hammer, I'm gonna say no to. Dull hammer. Wow, that didn't make any sense. Dull the axe.
Slow the hammer.
Turned it into a hammer.
Slow the hammer.
We're not dwarves here.
I don't know.
All the metaphors are failing today.
Now,
whatever it is, anything that's like that, I'm not gonna probably take because you need to hit real hard to keep up with like Night Haunt and Zinch. That's the thing. Zinch is doing what we want to do with their All Zangor. Like if you run an All Zangor led, Zinch is doing this too.
Yeah.
And if you're going to outplay Zinch,
I'm doing that myself actually.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm only doing half Zangor. I don't have enough Zangor to run as many as I want, but yeah. I hear you.
The Zangor list is doing what we want to do as well. So I think if you want to keep up with that kind of stuff, you just gotta go so hard.
Okay.
So
it makes sense. You can't go half in.
Nah. But if you did want to go a quarter in again with 340 points, Big Grix, Krill Shots, if you just happen to have been playing Big Wa so much, you can get 2 units of a min-sized Bolt Boys and a Killbow, the Beast Skewer Killbow. If you still have that
one,
around.
I was looking at. I don't think it's worth it, but
because you'd have to drop like a full unit of brutes for this.
I mean, I'd probably drop my 6 pigs if I was going to do that. I'd drop my 6 pigs, because then you're giving up the go out there and kill them
Mhm.
for a more reserved move forward and shoot and fight list.
Mhm.
Rather than, I think if you drop to brutes, then you have like that's a big section of your area control. So you're
Okay.
giving up
Yeah.
a big section of area control so that somebody can go forward and die, somebody can shoot, and now you have Kragnos and 1 unit of brutes. I think
Mm.
you're too fanned out. You're not doing what you want. Like you're too tepid on everything that
That makes
So
sense.
how many points is
Mhm.
Kragnos again?
700 something.
700. Yeah.
I actually
So
don't think he might not be that
He's
expensive.
6 and
but
change? Or
he may be
700?
6
Yeah.
and change.
Maybe 6, 8.
enough that
I
it's
think like
hard to fit
680.
him in without rounding up to 700, essentially.
Not
Yes,
not too
basically.
bad
Yeah.
though. Not too bad. Like, not as bad as like an Archeon or something. Like
Mhm.
Dude, when he has +1 attack
680.
from the law and +1 damage from the prayer, he
Mhm.
he just hits so hard. It's so insane to watch him go out there with just
Oh, sure.
all the rend and all the damage and all the attack.
oh, you gotta love it. No, it's really cool.
And yet still a tiny little face.
Yeah.
Tiniest face on a model ever.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm still painting mine right now. He's not quite done, but
That's why it works with the ogre head swap, guys. I'm telling you, it's perfect. It's so cute.
There you go.
Nice. Ah,
Ah,
but on that
What?
lovely note,
I think
I think
I think unless Mike, you have anything else you want to tell us about IronJawz?
that kind of
Um,
covers my thoughts on the matter.
well,
Awesome.
well. Then maybe we've come to a reasonable moment to
Mhm.
reflect upon what that green menace is doing out there.
Indeed. I think
Uh,
with the good place arriving,
Mhm.
it's probably time for
the
the
last
last
word.
word.
Wow.
In
Wow.
stereo.
Yes.
Had to try it. I can't yell too loud. It's 2 a.m. and I'm in
Yeah.
an apartment, so I don't need a noise complaint right now.
Same
That-
here. I think
that's
my
all I
wife is
got.
sleeping, so if I get too loud, I'm gonna walk in return for sure.
Yeah.
That'll be some
Yeah.
smashing and bashing. I'll miss you, Jack. I'll miss you.
In memoriam.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.